This video is going to show you 3 truths about spirit guides that nobody tells you. I'm going to share with you this new understanding, this updated understanding of what they are, how do we connect to them, and the truth about the whole process. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 truths about spirit guides that nobody tells you. I'm going to show you ways of connecting to them and how to understand how you can trust yourself more in the present moment right now, because at a certain level, you always have guidance. Now this is something that I've seen people make videos about before, and while I think that inherent in reality itself, that our beliefs create our reality. So we will perceive of things that are in alignment with what we believe to be true. Now, spirit guides is one of those things that in a way it presents itself based upon what we believe to be true, because that's how we feel comfortable. Now, I'm not saying in any means that spirit guides aren't real. What I am saying is that the way in which it is presented to us will depend upon our own belief system. So many times if we have maybe a certain religion, maybe we see them as more of angelic type beings. Now, if we have some other belief system about it, maybe it's somebody that has passed on from the past, or maybe it's some type of spirits in the sense of some type of culture. It just kind of depends on our belief system, first off, as to how they are presented to us. Now, at a certain level, it could be a one-on-one reflection to something that you in a way have experienced before, or maybe it's like a grandparent or a great-grandparent that passed away that's a spirit guide. That can also be an experience as well. However, what I want to impart to you and the way I'm going to be explaining this video is under a couple main premises. Now, one of them is that we are immortal spiritual beings having temporary human experiences. So what this means is that at a deeper level, we exist now, therefore we will always exist. So at a certain level, we can relax. We don't have to think things are as serious as they appear to be. Life is meant to be an experience. And when we start to have this frame, this understanding, it makes it a lot easier to understand the truth about who we are. And the truth is we exist now, we will always exist. And this is something that quantum physics shows us. This is something that we have learned because energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It simply is. So that's something that can be very empowering. Now, in our life experience, we experience our world through the 5 senses. We can hear, we can touch, we can see, we can taste. All of these things are interpreters of vibration. That's how we interpret our reality, is with the different senses that we have that interpret what is around us. Now, here's the cool thing. There are sounds that the human ear can't hear. Sounds like the sound of a dog whistle, like really low or high-pitched frequencies. We can't hear that with our human ear, but does that mean it doesn't exist? In the same way, there are the certain color light spectrums that we can see. And if it's between certain shades, we can see it, but if there's things that are infrared, or if there's things that are X-ray, we can't see it. But does that mean it doesn't exist? So the idea is that our senses are very limited with what we experience in our life. We can understand that there are vibrations everywhere. There are many different interpretations of reality. So this also helps us expand our definition of who we are. So part of this video, what I'm doing is I'm helping you expand your vision for who you are, so that then you can understand more about your spirit guides. So you are much more vast than you can possibly imagine. When we come into life experience, we forget who we are at a grander level. We forget that we are immortal spiritual beings having temporary human experiences. That's one thing that makes Earth a little bit more difficult to incarnate at than other places in the universe, simply because we forget who we are. There's a veil of forgetfulness. So in a way, it's like we're logging into a video game that we forgot we logged into. And one of the purposes of the game itself, metaphorically speaking, one of the purposes of life itself is to remember who we are, to literally remember, to reconnect to the larger version of who we are. And when we begin to do that, we begin to see things from a much more expanded point of view. It's a level of spaciousness that really can't be described using words. And I went through that. I went through that when I went through my spiritual awakening. All of a sudden, things were much more expanded. And I felt just so different inside my body. I just felt different. Like everything felt different to me. And really, it was an internal change that happened of expansion. So what I'm saying to you is, just like we have multiple senses, we are multi-dimensional beings. We've forgotten this because we're born here, we're conditioned to believe a certain way, we're conditioned by our environment. So therefore we think, this is who I am, this is what is real. But the truth is that we are much more vast. We've simply forgotten it. We exist in multiple different realms at the same time. The only moment that does exist is this moment right now. This is another important part of the process of understanding, because we must understand the perception of time when it comes to what I'm about to tell you with spirit guides. When it comes to time, the only moment that does exist is this moment right now. We have never really experienced the past, because when it was the past, it was this moment right now. And we will never actually experience the future, because by the time the future gets here, it will still be this moment right now. It's simply different points of views that appear to be different times, but time does not really exist in the way that we think it does. We've just been bought into this belief system of this linear type expression. But the truth is, we actually remember a different past, because every time we remember a memory of something that happened, we take it out of the memory bank, we look at it, we change it, and then we put it back in. That's what neuroscience shows. And that means that if we can accept the idea that we're always changing in the present moment, then we can start to let go of past experiences. But the truth is, we exist now, we will always exist. It's just the perspectives are changing, the points of view change. But we are nonetheless multi-dimensional beings, remembering who we are. That's one of the purposes of life, I believe. So what is the first thing that we can understand is true about spirit guides if we're willing to expand our awareness to there? Many times what we do in the present moment is we believe, or if we are connecting to spirit guides in general, we believe that all of those spirit guides are different souls altogether. Many times they may be. However, many times what will happen is you will be connecting to another version of you that exists right now. But we call it our spirit guides because it's not really within our belief system that we are multidimensional. So what do I mean by this? Well, I exist now. I may have existences in different parts of the universe that I'm just simply not aware of because it wouldn't be relevant. And when I am tapping into this guidance, tapping into my spirit guides, it may be a version of me at a different level that is giving me advice, but maybe it makes me feel comfortable for me to say, oh, that's my spirit guide. That is someone that's separate. At the fundamental base level, we are all connected. Now, I mean that even more than just literal. The idea is that these beings many times are from our same oversoul. So that could probably be a whole nother video in itself. But the oversoul, we are all connected to an oversoul. And our oversoul will have different splits, sparks of energy that have gone out into the universe. And we are all connecting to those different sparks. We are learning how to really embody the way we prefer to be. We're learning how to connect to other people with unity consciousness. And that's one thing we can begin to do, is to realize that many times our spirit guides are simply other versions of us in higher dimensions, in other realities. Now, sometimes this may seem a little bit scary. However, there's some books by Dolores Canon. She's written over 17 books. She actually passed away a couple years ago. She's known for having a quantum healing hypnosis technique. It's called QHHT. She was able to get people to the deepest level of brainwave activity for the subconscious mind, and she would put these people in these trance states, and what they would do is she would record those sessions, make transcripts. These people would get into that state, and she would ask questions like, why did you incarnate at this time? What is the purpose of this relationship in their life? Whatever pre-written questions that person under hypnosis had, she will ask the question, she'll ask different questions, see where the conversation goes. But in general, she's done thousands and thousands of these kind of research of these different people all over the world. And you know what, something interesting? A lot of them had kind of similar things. Even though they're different people, The idea is we're here right now on Earth because there is a very strong transition happening when it comes to raising our level of consciousness, and that this is the most exciting place to be right now, the most exciting time to be here than ever before, and that there's a shift in consciousness taking place. And that with that, we're becoming more aware of who we are. And then what the other thing she was able to do is ask these people about spirit guides, other existences, and many times they're getting guidance from other versions of themselves. So that's something that you can read in transcripts. There's over 17 books. There's some of them called The Convoluted Universe, books 1, 2, and 3. Those are great books. Help you really expand your awareness of who you are at a deeper level, rather than just the conditioned way that we see ourselves. So that's something that will help you really tap into you being multidimensional and tapping into these simultaneous existences in different realities. What is the second truth about spirit guides that nobody tells you? It has to do with understanding the way they communicate with us. Now, they will use symbols many times in our life to help us understand more of what is happening. Now, many times also what they will do is if there's a certain direction we're going in, they may create what appears to be a block or something that we don't understand. We're like, why would you put that there? Or why is this happening? Something feels a little resistant, but sometimes that happens so that it can put you on the right track. And that will kind of show you which direction to go into. Now, the way they communicate to us doesn't have to be like a voice in the head. It doesn't have to be like we're in meditation, we have some like divine intervention of like visuals and stuff. It could simply be a subtle connection to the inner part of who we are, connecting to our heart, connecting to spaciousness. And it can be signs. I remember one time I had an ex-girlfriend, but at the time she was my girlfriend. This is back in like 2000. This is a long time ago. This is probably like 8-10 years ago. And probably 6 to 8 years ago. I had a girlfriend, and when I met her, it was like I knew it wasn't right. I knew the energy wasn't compatible. And what happened is we started to get together. We started to see ourselves more. And I remember that one time when I was texting her, which you shouldn't text and drive, I was texting her. I live in Las Vegas. On Las Vegas Boulevard, I got into an accident. I rear-ended the person in front of me because I was texting her. And I knew at a deeper level that that was a sign to stop talking to her. And not that that was bad, but there's free will there, of course. But I knew that that relationship was a little bit counterproductive to my path. Even though I wasn't all the way spiritually awakened and have all this information, I just knew it. I knew that there was some level of guidance there that was telling me to go in a different direction. Because at that point, I think I at least knew that everything happened for a reason. But nonetheless, my ego was too involved. My ego was like, oh, I like this girl, so I kept going with it. And then there were other things that happened. Other things that showed, even more extreme things. I kept getting signs over and over again. And I believe that that was the guidance at a higher level showing me which direction to go in, because I knew that being with that person was counterproductive to my path. So it was a sign. I took it as a good thing, but I just knew that that was a sign. So what I'm saying to you is that sometimes it may not come in ways that you prefer. It may not just be a voice that comes to you. It may not be a visual. It might be just a sign. It could be a positive sign too. It could be you start doing something you're passionate about and you get a little bit of a spike of, yes, go do this because this is like some reward that you get. Know that they may be coming from your spirit guides as well. So be aware of the signs. Be aware of the symbols that are in your life. And as you connect to that, what happens is you more so start to be in alignment with the way that you prefer to be. With alignment with the larger part of yourself, which is also connected to that realm of spirit guides. Now, what is the third truth about spirit guides that you may have totally forgotten about? That nobody tells you, really. The third sign is understanding, or the third truth is understanding that when you go to bed at night, you expand yourself out to this level of consciousness and you have full access to all of those spirit guides, to all those different versions of you. It is a totally different world when you go to bed at night, but you've totally forgotten about it. Because when you come back into life, it is irrelevant for you to understand all of those different aspects. So many times your subconscious mind will give you little symbols, little messages that you should know, but at a deeper level, you are doing much more vast things than you could possibly imagine when you go to sleep at night. However, for most people, if they were to know that, it would either be counterintuitive or counterproductive, or they wouldn't want to be here. Because in the higher dimensions, there's a feeling of unconditional love. There's much more flexibility with time and space because there's the awareness that time doesn't really exist. And there's a totally new perception. So the powerful part of understanding this is that there's so much more to who you are. Now, how can you connect to your spirit guides in a powerful way? Well, one of them is when you go to bed at night. Set intentions that when you go to bed at night, you're going to remember some of your dreams, even if it's symbolic representations of something you want to know. Set that intention and then go to bed and watch what happens. And just know that when you wake up in the morning, you will get a sign. I do that every night, and every morning I have signs of what I need to do in my life. I have signs of what I'm doing in the higher dimensions as a multidimensional being. And you could do the same thing. I'm not special because I do that. I just set the intention, and therefore I have the experience. So you could do the same thing, and you can learn so much. The other thing you could do is just simply start to meditate and go within more. A lot of times we think our spirit guides are out there. Really, they're within us because we are much more expanded than we thought. And really, the outer is a reflection of the inner. So when we come to that awareness, we're more so going within, trying to spread and dissipate our energy out. We start to bring it in and realize that inwards is where this guidance comes from. It comes from an emotion, from a feeling. So start to connect to more of a meditation type spaciousness. And then you're going to start to raise your vibration. And in that high vibe state, that's when things really begin to happen because your vibration has risen and there's an expanded level of consciousness. Now that's something I did. I, years ago, raised my vibrational state of consciousness, and it changed everything. I went from feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe 10 feeling the best, 1 feeling not so great, feeling about a 4 or 5, to feeling about a 7 or an 8. And I thought that feeling was going to go away, but it never did. It became a natural set point. Now, if you want to learn the same thing that I did, or you want a meditation that will help you to get there so that you're able to perceive more of your spirit guides and of that internal guidance, I've created a free meditation in the top of the description box below that will show you exactly how to do that. And also, something else I'm going to be doing is more live Q&As on Instagram. So if you want to interact with me, if you want to ask me questions, feel free to follow me. I'll go ahead and put the link right below as well. And other than that, just understand that you are so much more vast than you can possibly imagine. And when you begin to realize that there are this larger aspect, this larger state of consciousness, that everything in your life can change. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you guys liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that little notification gear next to the subscribe button so that you can see the daily vids that I do. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.